Hey, this is Mark from Circle the Dark Mother. Today we're going to do a reading from the Embracing Lilith myth, part 14. Chapter 13. Years passed, the tree matured and grew big, but Nanana found herself unable to cut down the tree, for at its base the snake, who knows no charm, had built its nest. In its crown the zoo bird, a mythological creature which at times wrought mischief, had placed its young. In the middle, Lilith, the maid of desolation, had built her house, and so poor Inanna, the light-hearted and ever-joyful maid, shed bitter tears. And as the dawn broke and her brother, the sun god Utu, arose from his sleeping chamber, she repeated to him tearfully all that had befallen her Hulupu tree. Sumerian Epic of Gilgamesh. I searched and searched for any trace of Cain or Samiel, but couldn't find them anywhere. My daughters reported on hostile creatures tempting humans and causing disruption. But anytime I investigated, it proved out to be some minion of Samuel's and not him. Even in my dreams, I felt I had made no progress. I would drop my consciousness, and the only dreams that would come involved the same sequence of Elohim floating over me, telling me I would have to choose. I grew weary. I had been wandering the earth for so long with no answers, and it just became too much. I had such guilt over Samiel and all that he had destroyed that I had reached my end. On top of it all, I felt completely alone. Why did everyone I love abandon me? Even Cain had left. I knew logically he had only done it to save me and his family, but I still mourned him. I realized the biggest loss, the one that ached most in my soul, was that of my mother and father. Why had Yahweh Elohim abandoned me? My mind played tricks with me and made me wonder if I had been the root of it all. Maybe I was unlovable. I knew I had to do something drastic, or I would grow so despondent, I would give up, and maybe even try to find a way to destroy myself. I debated and debated, but decided my best course of action was to retreat from the world using magic. I could drop my consciousness, spend time healing, and hopefully dream on the missing memories of my creation. I found an ancient tree in the middle of Mesopotamia in a desolate area where no one lived. I built a circle of stones around the tree and cast magic. I called upon the secret name of God, invoking the elements, the directions, and the archangels to make the tree a sacred space. When I finished the ritual, I slipped back into spiritual form and entered the tree. I became one with it and lost all touch with the outside world. There were dreams, many, many dreams. I dreamed about my life from my creation in Eden until I entered the tree. Some of the dreams took on horrific nightmare qualities, with Samiel as big as a mountain, towering over me and destroying everything I loved. Other dreams, I assume, came from the contact with my daughters. I saw their experiences around the world, helping those they felt needed it and tormenting those they felt deserved no better. I saw the world progress around me. At some point, I began to dream once more of my creation over and over again. The same scene of Elohim floating over me and asking if I agreed to whatever was going to happen. I always said yes. I never saw what I was agreeing to, but I began to see past my acceptance of her terms. I saw Elohim take the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil and pour it into my soul. I looked over and saw Adam unconscious next to me, not completely whole as of yet, but in process of being made. The revelation came that I was the first. I was created before Adam because I was completed before him. I thought we had been created at the same time and never imagined I was actually the firstborn. But even more enlightening was the fact Mother God had given me the same fruit of knowledge denied to Adam and Eve until Samiel tempted them into taking it. I had been given this knowledge of duality and self-will from the beginning. I hadn't just decided to wake up and change. I had been built for change by my mother. Unknown to me was what was happening around me in the tree I inhabited. The tree I had merged with had aged. With the magic I had performed, the tree became extremely large. The people of Mesopotamia now prized it because of its magical properties, and they would come for miles on pilgrimage to the wonderful tree, could heal and curse depending on the person touching it. Something called a zoo bird had taken up residence in the top of the tree, a winged spirit drawn to the power imbued in the wood, and eventually a huge serpent had slithered in and nested in its base. The locals labeled the tree Hulupu because of its magic. A young goddess named Inanna, called the Joyful One, had made claim to the tree. Inanna was a princess of the local monarchy, but also considered to be a deity of love and nature. She prized the tree and its magic, but sensed it could not be cut down because the spiritual presence within it. That presence was me. And Nana went to her brother, the Prince Utu, and asked him to find someone who could relocate the zoo bird, the serpent, and the spirit of the tree. She wanted to use the wood to build an altar for the temple of the Great Mother, but she did not wish to harm any of us. Inanna and Utu knew they needed a special person to be able to accomplish the task. They decided to call upon their cousin, the hero Gilgamesh, said to be able to wield great magic from the gods. Gilgamesh approached the Hulupu with reverence and began to chant and pray. He called upon the power of the Great Mother and invoked the angels and elements. He used invocations that unsettled the zoo bird, causing it to take flight and leave. He used his sheathed sword to reach in and move the serpent to another location, far from the tree. When Gilgamesh completed all of this, he put his hands on the bark of the hulupu, praying for insight. He heard a woman's voice telling him that Lilith, the desolate, inhabited the tree. The emotion transmitted to him gave him an insight into the great pain that had pervaded me, and I entered the tree. Tears streamed down his face, and he rated nothing save compassion. He used my name and his magic to invoke me. His presence entered my mind, and I came back to consciousness. His sympathy and concern for me brought me hope. It touched me so deeply to have someone feel for my plight that it sparked a belief things could work out for the good. I exited the hulupu and took physical form. Between knowing a little bit more of my creation and the sweet man caring for my plight, even though he didn't know me, I had awakened afresh and renewed. We embraced and then kissed. A passion I hadn't experienced in a very long time filled me as we made love. The next morning, I realized I had not created any children in my union with Gilgamesh. I'm still unclear why. Perhaps because Gilgamesh was not quite human, or maybe because our union was the first one for which I had no regret. I reluctantly sent Gilgamesh on his way to tell Inanna and Utu that the wood of the hulupu was theirs to do with as they pleased. That's the end of this section. Hopefully you enjoyed it.